we've actually got ourselves a pretty serious patch today. Bit of a surprise one that ain't sprung on us out of nowhere. We've got Living World Season, World Boss, and actually that's spicy, by the way. We'll get to that in just a moment here. We've got Fractal Instability reworks, some big changes there actually that hopefully will, make them less annoying. Hey, We Bleed Fire is gone. Everyone's gonna be so sad about that. Like, I love We Bleed Fire. Who doesn't love it? The raid reward rework and some gating crystal stuff with the currencies being joined together as well. And of course, just your usual kind of world polish memes and a few bug fixes. And I bet you guys didn't see this one coming. I didn't know. I had no idea this was coming, by the way. Maybe it got mentioned somewhere. I just forgot about it. But we actually have some very impactful changes to PvP, right? Like, they're not, it's not like a huge patch, but very impactful, targeting some very key areas with regards to balance, specifically with Necromancer, Guardian, Willbender, Harbinger, and Vindicator that have been causing some pretty serious issues in PvP for a while now, and actually some pretty cool changes here to talk about. A bit brutal on poor old Willbender, but, sometimes you have to get beaten down. And Warriors rejoice, because your 5% crit is now in the strength line as well. So Warrior having a good time there. And this is actually pretty significant. And again, we'll talk about this in a bit more detail when we get there. But Warrior, if you're a Blade Sworn, you're a big blaster right now. It's a slightly annoying build to pull off and definitely is a hard build to execute. But you're a big pumper. You are a big blaster on your Blade Sworn. So let's go ahead and leap directly into these notes and see what the hell is going on. So first of all, I don't really have much of a comment on this, of course, but the third episode of Season 1 is now out. I kind of mentioned this previously in the pre-analysis for this, like while I was reading the roadmap, but the fact that this is the third episode releasing now, and kind of judging at the gaps between these Season 1 episodes, the big thing here is that this gives us an estimated idea of the schedule of what's happening with Guild Wars 2 in the future. So essentially, we're going to be expecting episode 4. We know there are 5 episodes. We're going to expect episode 4 probably towards October, right? Kind of September, October. Oh yeah, it was on the roadmap. Yeah, September 13th, episode 4. So again, episode 5 is going to be kind of towards that November, very early December kind of release. That's kind of the big thing here, right, is this. And look, this is kind of cool, by the way. I actually realized, definitely gonna go check this out. The original event's worldwide Clockwork invasions have been replaced by a permanent recurring invasion event taking place in Gendaran Fields every 2 hours. Definitely cool. Gonna go check this out, actually. I might go play through it if it's available after kind of reading through this, and maybe we can edit that in there as well, so we can have a little bit of have it in the background maybe, so you can see how it looks. But this event probably hasn't aged super well, to be honest with you. Because it is from Season 1. But it's actually really nice that this kind of the ambient content that was happening in the world is back. Because that's something with Season 1 that I think hasn't really been replicated in modern Living World, is that Living World Season 1, you would actually have stuff happen. Maps would change, new NPCs would appear, there'd be new events that would spawn and pop up, and you'd have these very temporary invasions, right, or temporary boss fights that are happening there. I believe this one, like a bunch of portals kind of pop up all over the place, and you have to farm all the Clockwork mobs, and if you don't, how did it work? I can't remember how it worked even. We'll go find out in a bit, I guess. But yeah, there's like a time limit on, I think. And if you can't do it in time, you end up failing. You have to like kill loads of the portals. Then eventually I think you fight Scarlet as well. And you have to kind of like deal with Scarlet to drive her away. Very cool savagery. I love that they're actually exposing players to that history, right? I would love if they did this with other content too. So, for example, again, this event was really scuffed and honestly has not aged well. But one of the coolest things ever was the Karka event. Karka invaded Lion's Arch, then we drove them back to South Sun Cove. So they would actually be in Lion's Arch, right? You'd be in a city, there's Karka everywhere. But more importantly than that, there was an epic one-time only event where you have to defeat an ancient Karka, and you got a precursor, a very high chance of dropping a precursor, including a unique 20-slot bag and a celestial trinket, which I still have to this day. I will never delete it. What a memory, right? It would be super cool if they actually started implementing these old school events back, right? We know that they kind of plan on doing this with the Battle for Lion's Arch, right? And hopefully bringing that back in some sense so players can experience that. So I'd love to see them actually re-implement this. Again, the Salsun Cove stuff is actually the only thing that isn't coming back with Season 1, or more or less the only thing that isn't coming back. So maybe we could see that in the future. But yeah, cool stuff, right? Cool stuff. I like that. That's actually pretty hype. And again, all this is about... all of this stuff is preparing for Steam, right? The ArenaNet want to go on Steam. They want to have this very crisp, coherent new player experience so you can understand what happened in Season 1. You can experience that content, have like a very streamlined flow. Moving on. It's Fractal Mistlock Instabilities. So these are weird. What these are, for those who aren't familiar, are basically a set of little effects that modify fractals and change the gameplay a little bit on a random basis. And the higher level of fractal you have, the more instabilities you have, going up to 3 instabilities when you get to tier 4 fractals and challenge modes. So let's see what they say here. The Mistlock instability system is intended to keep Fractals of the Mist feeling fresh, with each instability introducing a new twist that provides additional challenges when completing an encounter. However, some instability combinations have a tendency to become more frustrating than challenging or fun. In the July 19th update, we're making some adjustments to nearly every Mistlock instability to reduce frustrating difficulty spikes, reward players for taking advantage of positive play opportunities, and increase synergy between instabilities across the board. We'll be keeping a close eye on these changes and how players adapt to them. You know, This really makes me think, actually. I honestly wonder if they should actually just make instabilities almost like an only positive thing. So instead of you get punished for X, it's more you get rewarded for doing X, right? If that makes any sense. Because I have to say, I do like the design philosophy they've taken here. Like, oh, you can drop Flux Bomb on enemies. Oh, you've got more boon duration in this specific situation. Oh, you know, you can, I don't know, honestly, a lot of them are a bit like, they're a bit boring to be honest. It's like, oh, you know, you move faster. Oh, you're, or whatever, right? Like all these kind of like weird trade-offs that you have in there. It's actually a pretty interesting idea. This type of stuff, it does make it a bit more interactive rather than just annoying. I think having both is fine though too, you know. I think that sometimes, you know, when you have like the mist convergence, you have like an NPC that helps you, right? Like Ellen Keel appears to help you out, all that kind of cool stuff. I think that is actually a really interesting idea and a good direction to take these things so that it rewards you for engaging in the system instead of just like punishing you and being annoying. Because to be honest, I think instabilities are always going to be perceived as a bit of an inconvenience rather than like, oh, wow, this is so much fun. Oh, I'm being slightly annoyed by the game. Ooh, wow, fun. But let's see. Let's go ahead and leap into it. Adrenaline Rush. Reduce enemies' damage reduction when unaffected by Enrage from 20% to 10%. Enraged enemies now deal 100% increased damage, but cannot crit. So what's their reasoning behind this? Critical hits with a 150% damage increase could result in random spikes of lethal damage with very little counterplay. Our goal is to smooth out those spikes by lowering the highest potential damage and raising the lowest potential damage. You know, you can kind of call me boring, but I kind of feel this is how PvE should be in general. I think the fact that you can just die to a random crit, because crits are quite uncommon from NPCs anyway, is kind of a bit like, really? Is that what we want in our game? Do we really want critical strikes in PvE anyway on the enemy end? Probably not. I think that in itself inherently can be a little bit frustrating sometimes, to be honest. So yeah, I'd say this is like a good overall change there as well. Yeah, you can't get crit. You know, there you go. Watch out for that. Watch out for that one, gamers. Afflicted. This instability now increases the duration of both resistance and resolution. Boon duration increase has been lowered from 50% to 33%. Resistance upkeep was a bit too easy with this instability active and did not directly contribute to protection against enemy condition damage. Resolution has been added to this instability's duration benefit to give it a clear counterplay for players to take advantage of. That is pretty nutty, actually, because, of course, Firebrand is very common in Fractals, and now you get a 33% boon duration on your resistance that you get from your heal skill. That is very strong, actually. you're going to get a lot of damage reduction. Now, in general, Afflicted, it's more of an annoyance, really, than anything that's super crazy. And yeah, you'll still have the ability to counter it with resistance if you need to, like, get out of chill, because the chill, the cripple, right, like the slow, right, like the immobilize, that's when things get really, really frustrating for sure. But yeah, and yeah, the Enrage is a huge nerf, by the way. It's like a big-ass nerf. Like, Enrage was insane. Like, the mobs would absolutely destroy you. So, Adrenaline Rush has, like, got nerfed a significant amount there for sure. Yeah, I mean, that's an okay change. Again, it means that it's a little bit more realistic to maybe lean into as well. Resistance is a very uncommon boon, although Resolution is a fairly uncommon boon as well, to be honest. Like, there aren't really that many common sources of Resolution. Again, I think this could definitely lean into ArenaNet looking at boon distribution in general and making it a bit easier for more professions to have access to resistance and resolution. Because, again, it is actually a little bit gatekept right now by playing a very specific build. Oh, yeah, the Warrior Resistance banner. Permanent resistance now on Warrior. Wow, that's so good. Boon Overload. Rather than increasing incoming strike damage, each boon on the player now reduces maximum health by 1.5% to a maximum of 10% with full boons. I think what they've tried to do here is to actually make it less punishing if you have low health, right? And more punishing with high health. Because I think their concern here is that, okay, if you're playing a class that has 11k HP, and you've got loads of boons, then taking incoming damage, having an incoming damage modifier is very punishing, right? Because you're going to get absolutely noodled, particularly if you're a light armor class. Whereas if you are a high health class, you don't care as much about incoming damage, where now it's kind of the other way around, right? So now you care more if you have high health with loads of boons. In general, I'm not a big fan of reducing maximum hit points, because again, yeah, you know, you're still going to be an absolute spaghetti, right? If you're an 11k HP profession with this. So I'm not a huge fan of HP reduction in general, to be perfectly honest with you, but sure, you know, I think I understand what they go with. Oh, enables better synergy with the other instabilities that focus on direct raw damage. So look, the instabilities are synergizing gamers. They're all over the place. Okay, so Flux Bomb. Flux Bombs now affect 50% less space, have 50% shorter duration, and occur 50% more frequently. Additionally, enemies standing in Flux Bombs from this instability are now afflicted with random conditions. Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. I actually like this. This is a type of instability I think is actually quite cool. It's very interactive. You're going to get a random bomb, and you have this opportunity to drop it on an enemy, right? And actually use it in a useful way. I've got to say, I do like that. This one is the type of thing that I think more instabilities should be like. So it's like this very thing that you can counterplay it. You're going to have to move out with it. You're going to have to position it so it hits the boss and doesn't hit your group, right? All that kind of stuff. I actually like that. And of course, because it doesn't last as long, you have more freedom to kind of drop it on an enemy, use it for a bit of damage, and not kind of potentially screw yourself over later on. So I actually do like this. And of course, it's even easier because it's even smaller now as well. Yeah, this kind of stuff, yeah, I like it. I actually do like that design. It's good. Flux Bombs are incredibly noisy, and a reduction in size and duration should help clean up the field of battle. The increased frequency creates more opportunities to strategically place these around the battlefield, and afflicting conditions on enemies further incentivizes proper placements of both enemies and bombs. Yeah, you know what? I'd go a little bit further. I think it would be really cool if it was like... because right now it's not a big DPS increase, I don't think. Maybe with the condies that will help, and I guess you can use it to blind ads, right? They'll get like random blind maybe or something like that, or like even random immobilize, something useful potentially. But I think I would like to see this be like really rewarding. So you get like a significant DPS increase from utilizing the Flux Bomb. Be pretty cool. Fractal Vindicators. Vindicator damage has been increased by 20%. Health has been reduced by 33%. So I'm just going to go ahead and say this. ArenaNet need to make these not rally you. Unless they already did that, and I'm making a massive gaffe. Because, in my mind, if they want to make these things punishing, you should not be able to rally from Vindicators. Because that's the issue right now, is that they can do a lot of damage to you. They absolutely can. They are a bit spooky. They are scary. But the problem is that in a way that they aren't that scary. Because, again, you just get up when they die, right? And now it's going to be easier to do that. And I guess it makes... Maybe they want to make it a little more punishing in some ways and less punishing in other ways. So, you know, it's more punishing if you eat the damage they do, because they do hit pretty hard now with, you know, 20% more damage. They already hit pretty hard. Now 20% more, they're going to be pretty brutal, particularly if you've got, like, 2 of them up at the same time. But their health is down by 33, making it even easier to rally. And I think that actually is a bit of a concern. I think it would be very interesting if they did say, you know what? You can't rally off these, right? You're going to have to res and deal with it, or kill it and then res it. So, yeah, I think that's pretty good, right? Vindicators are made to be a threatening and clear priority target when they spawn due to their high damage output and ability to compound existing encounter mechanics. The health decrease encourages players to take these enemies down as quickly as possible, while the damage increase makes it riskier to leave them alone. Indeed. Yes, this is indeed an accurate situation. But yeah, again, I think I'd probably look at rallying them. Frailty. Rather than reduce health, players now take 10% increased damage from all sources. Health reduction is a very punishing condition when it's always on. Change in to increased damage provides clearer counterplay from keeping up protection, while improving synergy between this instability and the newly reworked Boon Overload. So I guess they just kind of moved the health thing. They wanted to make it a bit more conditional. The weird thing about this, okay, health reduction is a very... this is a statement that I actually have to attack a little bit. I've got to give them a bit of a slap here. The health reduction from Boon Overload will always be on. Right? You're not going to go, oh, we're going to counterplay Boon Overload by not having any boons. No, that's not going to happen, right? I'm sorry, it's just not. I think what would actually be really fun with Boon Overload is what if... Oh man, this might be so annoying. I'm not sure if... Nah, this actually might be way too annoying. Imagine if Boon Overload meant that every 10 seconds, you would copy your boons to nearby enemies. Right? Because I think that, honestly, Boon Overload is a little bit like, this is kind of like a lame one. It basically is permanent HP reduction, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, you're always going to have, like, 5, 6, 7 boons, right? You're never not doing that. You're just playing badly, or, well, you know. What I'm trying to get at here is that this doesn't really have counterplay, right? Boon Overload... you go, oh, the counterplay does not have boons. Well, no, it's never going to be worth it to not have boons, right? Like, it's essentially infinite. All right, but yeah. But sure, I think that could be maybe reworked. Maybe it could copy boons to nearby trash mobs, not bosses, for example. I don't know, like the boons are spilling. They're overloading. They're spilling away from you, right? Or maybe, I don't know. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. But we'll see. And frailty, 10% damage increase. I think that's fine. I mean, it's not like it's not exactly exciting, but yeah, sure, whatever. 10% more damage. I think, you know, that's fine, right? It's kind of, in a way, it's similar to HP reduction. In some ways, it's kind of worse than HP reduction as well, because, you know, you can potentially get bursted down very hard by this and just get one-tapped, right, essentially, whereas you wouldn't get one-tapped. Well, I guess you'd get one-tapped with health reduction as well. I mean, I don't know, whatever. Who cares? Hamstrung. Okay, the slow effect by this instability has been capped at 33%. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, frailty was brutal. It was like a massive HP reduction. This probably ends up being like a nerf to frailty, because it was actually insane. You had like no HP, like on some class, like 6k health or something, right? It's ridiculous. So that is good, right? You're less one-tappy, but still a little bit one-tappy. Hamstrung. The slow effect causes instability has been capped at 33%. Losing movement speed when damaged is a very powerful form of compounding failure when left on compounding failure. What a term. Mitigating the potential for rallying moments in which the players can come back from the brink of death. The new 33% cap maintains the risk of unhealed damage intake and reinforces the usage of swiftness and super speed as counterplay in dire moments. You know what, gamers? This actually might be a slight over nerf. That's going to sound crazy, but I think this actually is a slight over nerf. Now, it has some really funky interactions with stuff like Tidal Bargain, which would make it so you literally can't move unless you have swiftness, basically. Stuff like that is a little unusual, in my opinion. But this seems really weak now, actually. This is like really, really weak. And that is, to me, is a bit of a problem. Yeah, it was annoying, but it certainly did really reward you for kind of playing well and punish you for making mistakes, which is kind of the point of instability. Now this is like nothing. It's dead, right? This is like this is a non-instability now. Like, this is totally harmless, which I think is kind of defeats the point. Last laugh. Enemy explosions now take 1 second longer before firing, but deal a flat 25% damage to health. Stunned enemies now apply regeneration, stability, and protection to nearby players. See, that's actually kind of cool. So, what this is basically saying is that you want to go ahead and stun enemies and then blast them. It's like, so crowd control them and then blast them down really, really quickly, and you get a big payoff, right? Regen, stab, and prot. That's a big payoff. In my opinion, right? That's pretty damn juicy. And yeah, you have like 1 second longer to get the hell out of there. It's very, it's pretty deadly as well, though. And I like that they're making it percentile, by the way. I think percentile damage is something that's really good to add, because again, it kind of normalizes punishment. For example, if something isn't percentile, then something like a warrior or a necro doesn't care, whereas an Ellie and a thief is like, oh no, I'm dying, right? So normalizing it is actually really good, I think. Good call there. And I like the payoff, right? It's a cool payoff to get a bit of a, free stab there. Bit of free stability about the place. Very cool. So again, it really rewards you for having that. And yeah, sure, you kind of have regen, stab, and prot already a lot of the time with the current typical meta picks that you're going to see in Fractals. But I like that. Again, it's the design that rewards you for understanding how it works and actually playing into it, which is good. Last laugh can be very frustrating in Fractals with large groups of enemies. The extra second to maneuver around the attacks gives players some additional grace, while the flat attack damage percentage reinforces the need to respect the mechanic. Enemies applying regeneration in addition to protection and stability further reinforces the desire to coordinate finishing off stun enemies. Good stuff. No pain, no gain. Stripping boons from enemies now applies that boon to nearby allies. Actually really cool. I like that a lot. So previously, this is basically just like, oh yeah, you need to boon some, otherwise you're going to be a noodle. Skedaddle, skadoodle. Your DPS is now a noodle. Now you steal. Honestly, it almost like opens a few really interesting gameplay options, right? Because now you can use like a necro, and the necro is going to give 25 might, or like 10 might prot and fury, right? To the group. That's actually pretty cool, to be honest. Yeah, you could do that with Bountiful Theft as well on Thief, and even double up actually on Bountiful Theft on Thief, actually. Hell, even Spellbreaker or some Mesmer builds, Virtuoso builds. Revenant, of course, can still do this, right? And will now share the boons out. Yeah, I actually think that's cool. I like that. It's a good design. So now you get rewarded. You get like double rewarded, right? So not only are you going to get the, remove the damage reduction, you also now benefit your team by interacting with us. Yeah, great. I like it. Yeah, it's resolution. So yeah, you're yoinking the resolution, which is great. You're yoinking everything, right? Yeah, really nice. Really, really nice. Yes. Yes. Yeah. 10 seconds. It's 10 seconds indeed. Yeah, there's loads of different options you can go about doing this, right? It's good. Yeah, you got might, resolution, and prot, right? Yeah, it's might, resolution, and prot. That's a nice thing to steal. It's good. I like it. And that's it's like pretty juicy. Not too bad. Outflanked. The damage reduction from being attacked head-on has been removed. Players now take 100% increased damage when attacked from behind. Non-boss enemies now take 100% damage. Dude, imagine it was boss enemies too, yeah? When attacked from behind or from the side. So I feel like this might be a little hard to take advantage of. You can use stealth, right, to like turbo burst stuff, or you can maybe stun mobs and then kind of go to the side and then just like pow, annihilate them. Now, realistically, well, this is non-boss. This actually includes champions, no? So yeah, this actually is this is huge, actually, no? Yeah. Because what you can do is, you can stealth behind a mob and blast it. You can immobilize mobs and blast them. You can break a defiance bar, right? An annihilation, and just annihilate non-bosses, so like smaller mobs, like groups of elites, for example. Groups of a champion, for example. You go behind it and annihilate it. Because again, I think boss means like very specifically bosses, right? you know, we're talking about like the end boss, right? I think champions wouldn't be included in boss categories. So that's actually really interesting. Again, that it's a lot more interactive now. Like this is certainly worth thinking about, right? Like you're going to go, okay, we're actively going to try to play around this because, hey, 100% damage, that's pretty wild, right? That's pretty insane with the amount of damage you can get out of that. I like that. You know, again, this is the type of design that I think can actually really make instabilities interesting. Outflank caused some serious damage spikes that were capable of one-shot players. That is true. It's quite amusing, actually. Like, you could definitely get one-shot. Like Twilight Oasis, like the guys with the rush, just get actually one-shot. Really funny. The change to an offensive benefit that affects both players and enemies further enforces the risk-reward for players and can result in faster clear times when groups take full advantage of the instability. Yeah, honestly, that's exactly what instabilities should be. They're kind of on this. Boss on it. That's a great question, to be honest, Fractal Spoon. I wonder how specific they've been about it. Maybe I'm wrong here. They may have just flagged anything that's a champion is like that. Or they may have gone through and flagged anything in a boss encounter doesn't count as a boss. I'm very curious to see how they've actually implemented this. I think regardless, it's still pretty interesting, you know, rewarding you for using CC, Immobilize, Stealth, and so on for immediately destroying things. And like Defiance bars on like, you know, smaller ones like Elite mobs and stuff like that. But still, pretty cool, actually. Pretty damn cool. And yeah, it may not apply to ads. So smaller ads, you know, stuff like on, you know, on Amala, right? On, again, as you say, on Syax, right? You know, may actually now get utterly destroyed in some of these situations, which is pretty cool. Well, of course, if you play into it. Social awkwardness. The pushback mechanic when standing near another player can now be negated by stability. Huh. Yeah, I mean, that's okay, I think. I wonder what... So that means if you have stability, it doesn't do anything? So that means that social awkwardness is a little bit deleted. I'm not going to lie, guys, because stability uptime in fractals can be pretty damn high, and you're going to have to keep an eye on it and see if it expires. But between Firebrand, Mechanist, Revenant, and so on, you have very high stability uptime. So social awkwardness is certainly going to be a lot less relevant, and will just make kind of stacking significantly easy when you do that. Remove a stack of stab, and maybe it does remove a stack of stab. In that case, no, I don't think they would do that, because if they did do that, it would actually be like, this would be like a colossal, it would be a buff to social awkwardness. That's not what they're trying to do here. They're trying to make it have counterplay. If you lost stab whenever you moved into a hitbox, that would make it so much more annoying, right? Like, because you just kind of jiggle around a bit and all your stab is gone. So there's no way it works like that. There's no way they would do that. Now, I've got to say this, I'm going to be a boring gamer. I'm going to be a super boring gamer. Yeah, you could like troll your team and remove other people's stab, right? So I'm going to be a boring gamer, but ArenaNet, you guys have got to look at giving stability to more professions, or just nerfing stability on Firebrand and Mech very hard. And to be honest, I think adding stab to other specs is more interesting. Maybe do both, right? Like nerf stab on Mech and Firebrand a little bit, but give it to someone else, right? Because seriously, it's a little bit silly when it's so locked down on a very low amount of professions that have access to this counterplay, right? I'm sorry. We've got to look at this. It's a big thing, especially in fractals, right? Like, especially in fractals. The monopoly on stab that certain professions have is a little bit silly, right? I guess Rev is in that category as well with Jalos, right? Jalos stab is sick, by the way. Dude. Gamers. Quickness Herald is fire. That's all I'm going to say. Quickness Herald, juicy build. Very juicy build. Quickness, Prot, Swiftness, Fury, bit of might in there. And you've got stab and quickness now. Wow, what a build. Insane. Incredible CC. Giga Chad build. Definitely play it. All right. Stick together. Incoming damage when not within the range of 300 is now increased by 25%, down from 60%. Wow, ooh, big nerf. Players now deal 5% increased damage within a range of 300 of an ally, rather than taking 20% damage reduction. Yeah. I like that. I think, yeah, I prefer that. I prefer that design, because again, this is like a very big reward, right? It's a big reward. Damage reduction in general is a bit OP, to be honest. So I think removing that on the player's end is good, and turning it into like an offensive thing. So, you know, you're sticking together, which is, again, rewarded in the way you want to play Guild Wars 2 with boon stacking and so on. And now you just get 5% more damage when you're in range of an ally, right? Again, so everyone's together, get 5% more damage. Hey, good news though. New meta for Fractal speedruns, 5% damage mod. You're going to need that now, okay? So good luck getting records, gamers. You need to stick together now. Have fun with that. Yeah. And yeah, nerf it. Yeah, I think it's fine to nerf it. 6 minute is pretty brutal, right? Particularly on Fractal Challenge modes. That is brutal. You will get annihilated with a 60% damage increase if you're not within range. That probably was a little on the extreme side, to be honest. Making it punishing but not brutal probably is a good change in general, actually. Yeah. I'm about it. I like it. Not too bad. So yeah, in general, I think this basically just kind of reiterates what we said here, right? Smooth the damage curve and actively awards players who position themselves correctly throughout the encounter. Yes. Good. I'm actually impressed. You know, I've got to say, I'm going through these changes now. I'm legitimately impressed by these instability changes. I think they're really capitalizing on the potential of what these things can be and rewarding players for engaging instead of simply punishing players for refusing to play ball, right? I think the carrot and the stick is really important here. And I think this actually does make this more interesting. You know, like, no joke. I think this does actually make instabilities more. I can't believe I'm saying that. I'm a little surprised, actually. I've got to say, I'm taking it back. I was thinking like, oh, yeah. Fractal instability reworks. I've got to give him this. This is good, actually. Not all. I'm not on board with all of them. Some of them are still a little bit like, a little bit, but still, I get it. Reduce the attack speed and movement speed increase on enemies from 35 to 25. Enemies with Sugar Rush now have a 25% reduced critical hit chance. Yeah, I mean, am I a really big fan of crits in PvE on enemy mobs? No, I'm not, to be honest. Again, I'd like... So, this actually does have an upside, right, I think. I believe this makes you just faster, right? I think you're just faster with this on. So it already does have a bit of a bonus meme, I think. But I don't think this is necessarily bad as it was, right? The mobs attacking. I guess it's maybe not super interesting. And they have reduced crit chance, so they aren't going to crit you. And it's not a crazy decrease, I guess, of the attack speed and movement speed. Yeah, it's fine, right? But yeah, I think removing crits in general is good, right? Like, it's probably not that much fun. Just get like randomly crit for like twice the amount of damage you were expecting just across the board. That's kind of like a classic WoW style thing, you know? One of the things that this actually happened to me, by the way, guys. I was tanking this giant worm. And the worm crit me twice in a row within 1 second and killed me instantly. You know, that's... I enjoyed that. You know, I actually did enjoy that. That was to me, that's a big part of the classic WoW experience, is getting instantly killed by a giant worm. But maybe we don't want that in Guild Wars 2. I don't think I want that in Guild Wars 2, actually. So, Toxic Sickness. The Toxic Sickness Vomit attack now affects both allies and enemies. Ah! That's cool, actually! Dude, that's actually sick! And applies to poison, torment, confusion, and debilitating conditions. In Fractals, Debilitate decreases outgoing damage by 10% per stack. Others that... Wow! That's actually a really cool redesign. Okay? This is actually good. So now, you almost want to, like, spread out and spit on the boss so it does less damage, and you get damage, and you also apply comedies to it as well. That's actually really cool. And you get, there's also this added punishment if you spit on people. Yeah, because you could almost, like, ignore the spit mechanic, right? And just kind of eat the damage. But now you can't because you're going to get damage reduction up to 30%. So you can actually reduce the boss's damage by 30%. But hang on. Wait, will the boss now spit back at you here? Like... Is that what's gonna happen here? Will the boss, will you have like this infinite chain of like the boss spitting back? I don't think it'll work that way. I think it only like chains if you spit on an ally, right? So I don't think that's gonna happen. But I actually like that. Yeah. That's pretty cool. I'm an enjoyer. I'm an absolute enjoyer. Right, the rewards are high, although the punishment for failure is high. Yeah, this is actually a really good design. Because that's really going to change how you're going to play. You're going to want to really not spit on your allies. You're going to have to be careful of your positioning, so you're landing it on the boss. Power classes get a DPS increase. Colony classes get a DPS increase. Yeah, actually really cool. Toxic Trail. In addition to cleansing the area, blocking a trail attack now applies the exposed condition to enemies near the source of the trail. Wow. Ooh. Ooh. That's actually really good. That's another great one, I think, no? Because now you can run in with like a Shield 5 or an Aegis, and all the mobs, the trash mobs, right, will now get exposed. So you can blast them down even faster. What a great change. Because Toxic are one of the more annoying ones for sure. And now it really is going to be, you are going to what, instead of like, oh, it's so annoying, I've got to move away from it. You actually want to engage with this mechanic. I'm impressed. I'm impressed, ArenaNet. The instability needs some extra incentive for engaging in the trail cleansing mechanic. Honestly, I bet most people probably didn't even know that you could do that, by the way, right? Yeah, you could maybe go further and make it dodgeable. That might make it too easy to get value out of maybe, but I guess you are expending a dodge for that, so maybe that's okay. I guess not everyone has a block, right? Although a lot of people have blocks these days, right? Like, I feel like it's pretty likely you're going to have at least one block in your group, like Revstar 3, Aegis, Shield 5, Virtuoso, right? It's pretty likely you're going to have a block. But yeah, you could maybe put it on dodge as well. That's actually really cool. Yeah, and now you apply exposed and you clear down the mobs even faster, right? So your clear time is faster. Wow, great. Vengeance. Vengeance now affects elite foes. In addition to applying weakness, stripping boons now deals damage to nearby enemies. Like, Vengeance is... God, what does this one even do? This one, like, removes boons from you, right? What does it do here? Is it when they die? Yeah, I don't even know what it does. Guild Wars 2 Wiki, help me out. Yeah. Oh! Ah! Ooh! Oh yeah, this one is nasty, holy shit. When enemies die, they enhance nearby foes with multiple boons. Does not apply to elite foes. Strip any enemy boon to inflict them with weakness. Oh yes, you get weakness when the mobs die, and it removes a boon and then converts it into ways. Oh, that is quite annoying, actually. Yeah. In addition to applying weakness, stripping boons now deals damage to enemies. This kind of stuff is actually super interesting, actually, by the way. Because now, when you, obviously, the mobs get boons, right, when you kill them. So you have to strip them or kill them down, kill them really, really quickly. Okay, great. Very, very nice. Okay, I love to see that. That's good shit. But here's the thing. Now you're going to get rewarded because you're going to deal damage when you... Oh, it's AoE. Oh, that could be colossal. Oh, man, that could be vast. It deals damage to nearby enemies. Ooh. So that means when one mob dies, you can chain boon remove it and then utterly explode all of the mobs then. That's pretty cool. Actually, again, they've really got this focus on rewarding an engaged player with faster clear times because you could just nuke all of these trash mobs by interacting with this instability. Actually, really cool. Nice. I like that. And it affects elite foes. So again, in a way, that's kind of good, right? Because it means that you can use these elite mobs to chain boons, strip them, and then annihilate everything. Now, is this one still bugged, by the way? By the way, gamers? Because as I understand it, Vengeance, doesn't it, like, give you weakness when you strip boons or something like that? Isn't it like a really weird thing that you get weakness anyway? So hopefully they've maybe fixed that, right, at some point, but... This is actually really cool. This is definitely a fun, and does damage to you as well. Oh, it's still bugged. Yeah, well, they should probably fix that, okay? ArenaNet, you might want to fix that one. But there you go. Oh, wait, is it intentional or what? I don't know. Maybe it's actually semi-intentional. Because, like, wait, is it when if you strip a boon, you get weakness? Is that how it works right now? Or is it when the enemy dies? Because when the enemy dies, you are supposed to get weakness. But if it's when you remove the boon, you get weakness, that is bad. And that should definitely be fixed. But yeah, I've got to say, there's a lot of really interesting interactions that are being created here. Like, oh man, I wish they'd done this earlier, because instabs have been so lame and kind of irrelevant and mildly annoying for such a long time. Seeing this is really cool that they've gone in this direction to make them very interactive. I think that genuinely makes fractals more interesting and way more dynamic. Actually really good. Oh, I see. It's when you block something with Aegis, you get weakness. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's the bug, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's because when you lose a boon, the Aegis counts as being removed, and now you'll... Oh, no. So now you're going to take damage when you lose Aegis and get weakness. Okay, ArenaNet, you might want to fix that one. Wait, isn't it AoE damage as well? Oh, no. Oh, no. So, yeah, now Aegis is just horrible then, right? Because you get AoE damage and weakness when you lose Aegis. Like, oh, I hit a nerf to Guardian, guys. Wow. Yeah, so that one, they probably want to look at that one, okay? That ain't good. Oh, maybe the damage didn't the weakness did go. Okay, so okay. So it looks like the damage, at least the damage isn't gonna happen, I guess. But the weakness is still there. Not ideal. And Weebly Fire is gone. Yeah. You know, I don't want to defend Weebly Fire, because it is honestly very annoying. However, I do kind of like the fact that it's like, okay, you can reflect the orbs back. That was kind of interesting. I think the problem is that the telegraphing is annoying as hell, right? It can be very difficult to orient yourself so you can not get hit by the fire orb, right? It can be difficult to make sure you're standing in the right spot. I think that if they made it so it was better telegraphed, it would be doable, and maybe make it never happen on Siren's Reef, right? Siren's Reef is just this instab does not go well on that fractal. It's quite a lot of mobs, quite a lot of Weebly Fire, but in a way it's okay there, because as long as you have a reflect, it's okay, because you can reflect all the Weebly Fires and the little mini mobs back on them, and that's kind of interactive and kind of interesting. But I guess maybe it's a bit too gimmicky, right? It's a little too gimmicky to make that work, and I think removing it is probably a good change overall to us. It's kind of annoying, but I think if they made it like percentile damage instead of flat damage, because again, you get brutally punished if you have low health, make it percentile, make the Condi portion stronger so the damage over time is stronger as well. I think there's a version of it that is salvageable, right? There is a version of something like this that could be interesting. Make it really rewarding, right? Make it insane, right? Make it do mega damage if you reflect it. So I think right now it's like, okay, you get like a nice bit of burning spike, but if you reflect it, make it do like 30k damage, right? Honestly, maybe it already does that. Maybe make it do like a shit ton of damage, right? So like reflecting it is really rewarding. And that could be pretty interesting as well. But that's it for Fractal Instabilities. Very impressive changes, actually. You know, there was a bit of a slow start. Some of these were like, okay, they're just kind of nudging them. They're kind of noodling them around here a little bit. A little bit of noodle, right? Oh, you know what would be cool with Adrenaline Rush? What? Nah, they would never do this. This would be so silly, but it would be so funny. It actually reminds me of an old warrior trait. There used to be a warrior trait, guys, that gave you more damage when you were low health. And they would never do this because it would be stupid. It would be really annoying to play around it. But imagine if you enraged when you... Ooh, you know, they can make it very gentle. It could be like, nah, it's too hard to manage because of the way healing works, right? You don't have control over healing, and like healing and boons are very linked. So I don't think you could really do that. But imagine if it was like, if you're below 50% health, you enrage and do even more damage, right? But nah, that would be way too gimmicky. And again, doesn't really make any sense with the way the game... It's almost like it rewards you for playing badly to an extent, right? Which is like, not that great. But anyway, really cool stuff, actually, with instabilities. That definitely, yeah... if you're a Fractal player, I think you're super happy with this. Because now instabilities are interactive. They're actually going to change your gameplay. I think ArenaNet have cracked it. Like, no joke. I actually think they've cracked the code. I'd love to see them even add more instabilities that are like this to improve the variety. And yeah, next Fractal will definitely be fun to get back in. Maybe I got to get back into doing Fractals games. I got to get back into the grind. Because these ones are actually genuinely interesting and highly interactive, actually. I'm very impressed. ArenaNet have cracked the instability, but they broke the Fractal encryption. That's a damn good change. That's a damn good set of changes, actually, to Fractal Instabilities. No joke. I am really impressed by this. Yeah. Huh. And look, most people thought that the only way to fix it, right, was to remove them. And I think this demonstrates that's not the case. Really nice. Great job, ArenaNet.